there's a lot.
We didn't even touch
You
on
raised this question, and I'm not sure if you're comfortable to share your personal experience. You'll decide, or if you want to speak generally. The impact of menopause on romantic relationships, marriage, and especially women like you in a situation where you're married, you don't have kids, and now you find out I actually can't have kids anymore. And up you've got a man who's like, I want kids, I want my son, etc. What is the impact on romantic relationships and marriages? And one of the questions you had sent that you wanted us to cover on is things like menopause potentially leading to fights, maybe even violence in relationships.
Menopause in relationships is such a broad subject. Firstly, let's look at it when it happens before the natural or expected age.
Yeah. Sorry, are you still fine with your tea?
Yes.
Are you
I
sure?
don't drink my tea hot. So
Okay.
yeah. So
In a
it's
hot
fine.
flush. Sorry.
It's a combination.
Menopause jokes.
No, and sometimes you'll find me sitting with both hot and cold, actually.
Because you never know.
Because
Keep
then
on.
you can like whatever I'm preferring.
Sure.
When menopause happens before time, firstly, what it does to you as a woman psychologically, because you just got in this news. What does it mean to me? Especially if you're not married, if you're completely single, there's not even somebody. What conversations I'm going to be having moving forward on my dates or the people that I am interested in. It comes with identity crisis, for example, because this phase is supposed to be for older women. People that have had their children, they've gone through all of those things. And then you look on the other side. I always make an example with myself. My friends were having children at that time in their 30s, whether it's baby number 1, baby number 2. Me, I'm dealing with the old women's kind of phase of life. I can't really talk to them. They don't get what I'm going through.
Sure.
And then you try to speak to the older women. They're like, we are Papa Wen. Why you want to talk about old people
things?
Because then you have to convince them. It's like, really, I am going through it. Because most of them also, they don't know about premature menopause or early menopause. They come from that school that believes menopause only happens with a certain age. And then also culturally, most women, when they reach menopause, they can participate in certain rituals, certain processes, ngokwesintu ne. And me being a curious self, then I had reached menopause, right? Because when you reach menopause, the factory closes. Then that last phase where you're going to be for the rest of your life is post-menopause. That's where you're going to stay. So old women, normally then they reach post-menopause, then they get entrusted with all of this, even sometimes go big zizu and all of that, like the wisdom and all of that. So I asked them, Guti, since I've reached then post-menopause at 38, 39, doesn't mean that I can sit now with the elders.
I'm an elder.
Because then if we're looking at it, they'll be like, no. As much as you went through this phase of life, but age-wise, you cannot be part of those. But those are the dynamics that come with the premature menopause and early menopause, like things that you need to navigate. Then basically you're adding the dating part also. Personally, when it happened, I had gone through a journey of abstinence for quite a number of years. I was like, you know what? I'm hanging up these boots. I need to rediscover myself. I needed to understand so much, because most of the time when you start having sex, most of us, it's just because you can. But you do not understand what sex is about, why you're having sex and all of that. It's all about like a physical thing more than anything, And also the magazines, I always say, they play such a huge role. Magazines, social media in this day and age, but back then, Cosmopolitan, you look at the cover, 10 different styles, sex, this
5
and that
ways
and that.
to please your man.
So you
Everything
do
is
these things, you
hypersexualized.
understand?
Yeah.
But then I reached that point of the turning around to say, good, I need to rediscover so much for myself because I fell into by the way of doing things. And so with the journey of abstinence, that's when also even irregular periods, when they were happening, I kind of missed them because I was not even thinking about any pregnancy scare because I'm not having sex, right, during that time. Because normally that's the first thing for most women, especially when we're at that age. Missed periods.
Pregnancy.
Yeah. But then since I'm not having sex, I just missed it.
Sure.
Because also we don't like periods, most of us as women. They're like a bit of an inconvenience because like the PMS, like I can't wear this, I can't do this, and. So I think I was enjoying my life so much when the irregular periods were happening. Sure. Hence, I missed that symptom when it happened. Then when I found out what was happening, and then I was also ready to date. Let me fast track. Before I knew, there was this one guy that I was getting to know. Sure. I was in the thick of hot flushing, night sweats and all of that. So the one time we're sitting, like cuddling Nandi, and then I get a hot flush. And then he's like, why are you so clammy? And I don't have an answer because also I don't know what's going on. So I had to just quickly think of something. I'm like, I think I'm coming down with flu. Sure. And then there was that. We moved on. And then it did not work out also because I was, as I said, emotional, anxiety, and because he doesn't know me before the transition, he's like, what's going on with you? You're a drama queen.
This chick is crazy. I just met her. She's crazy.
And also because now I'm not sure who's I don't know how to explain to him because dude, I also don't know what's going on. This is not me. I'm just like all over the place. The opposite side of the spectrum, dating when I knew what was happening. I'm informed now. I'll bring my fan showing up for the date so that if it happens.
Is this for the hot flushes?
Yeah.
Nice.
Fans for different outfits, and all of that.
Style.
And then how you dress now. So the conversations that you have with him, firstly, you're able to tell him, good, dude, if you see me suddenly glistening, I'm getting a personal summer because of this phase of life. And then that is at the superficial level. But then you need to also have those conversations. Guti, if we were to pursue anything, you and me, what's your stance on having children? Because effectively ivalile on my side. And those are some of the conversations I also had to have with my partner. And as much as I knew that I did not want to have children, but you cannot deprive somebody of that right, of that privilege, of that choice. You need to hear from them where they are. Do they want to have children? Do they not want to have children? And all of that. Since 2016, I had been posting about my journey. So if you were interested in me and you were on my timeline, obviously you had an idea. And I will even write my future husband letters and I will draw him and I will do all of those things. And one of the prayers that I would put out there was saying that, Lord, may I please also meet a man that has kids that are grown-up teenagers, not babies. Because as I said, that me, I could not picture myself with the full-on responsibility of having to take care of children. So all of those things I had always put out there. But if I meet a person, then I will have that conversation with them because people always believe that some of the things that we put on social media are not a representation of our true self. But me, everything that I put out there, best believe is exactly who I am. But then obviously also it allows for further in-depth conversations because then you need to find out that if we're to make a go of this and then we end up getting married and you say that you don't want to have children, how do you navigate you changing your mind and suddenly saying that I want to have children? Does it mean the marriage is off? Are you suddenly going to think, team, it's your sign to take a second wife when we never?
Of course. It's a sign for his team.
Because
this Kokwana is going to give me a thumbs up. It's like, go fetch a 20-year-old. The family needs to expand.
So, when we started the conversation, you were not a polygamist. You said you're fine. So now you.
I like that you're not having periods. It means it's party time.
That's one of the positives.
All
right?
the time.
I always say that's one of the positives because you do not have to be waiting for anything. Like anytime is tea time, we getting it done anywhere. You can wear anything and. But under the same breath, also I did acknowledge because it's something that I spoke about even this week. Because some people, any time of the month is tea time, even during that time.
But most of us, when you spoke about dry vagina. Wow.
And then I told you that for some also.
Then it also goes up.
And also that's another thing that we need to speak about because there is other ways to make sure that you are able to, if it's vaginal dryness, Your lubrication effect. How do you take care of that? What are you changing? One of the symptoms that I said was, for me at some point, almost like that loss of sensation. So like your partner is touching you. Normally he knows that if he touches you, 1, 2, 3, say on. Then suddenly you're like, hey, dude, I can watch paint dry. I can do budget while when you're thinking it's he getting me going. So I had to rediscover my body, what gets me going, so that I'm able to communicate that to him. Hence, it is important to remove the shame around sex, because people don't like talking openly about sex.